Didn't you say head like
You look at this, and it definitely looks like a dog, almost sort of like a mastiff, honestly, with 3 eyes.
But it's a rabbit.
And yeah, he says it's a rabbit. Look, look, rabbit, and he like takes a carrot and just gives it to him, and it just chows down in it.
You know, there are more animals on this planet that eat carrots, right?
Rabbit.
Sure? Okay, you're certainly peculiar.
Yes.
Is there anything to this rabbit? Is it just a
Has
rabbit
3
eats
eyes.
carrots, eats 3 eyes? What else have you got?
And barks. Pretty birds. Lots of them. Some speak. Some cast magic.
Oh, what kind of magic?
Illusion. And he sort of grabs one of them, and you can see it's like this sort of kind of really nondescript bird about this size with just bright brown feathers, and he like sort of says, "Go on, do the thing," and you can see it suddenly. There's like all those tiny little sparkles just surrounding it that seem to be forming like little patterns. And he says they use it to woo women.
Other parrots or women?
Bird women. They're women. And he like gives you the look like, fucking idiot. Doesn't know anything about animals.
Okay, at this point, I just go to the stall next to him that was selling the magic items. I don't care.
Alright.
I've considered your offer, and I think I'm going to take one of those tiny bags, the 50 gold pieces, yes?
Alright. And he takes the 50 gold and he gives you a tiny bag.
Okay. Is that all you have? Just bags?
I mean, I haven't bagged up everything just yet. I do have some stuff in the cart that's, not prepared.
Okay. How about I come back
Wanna have
to
a
you
look?
later and, oh, okay. Yeah, no, I'll go now, sure.
And he leads you back to the cart, and you see just so much random junk that you at first don't even know where to look. Like, there is axes, there is swords, there is vases, there is like dolls, there's bangles and necklaces, and just everything sort of thrown into this cart.
Well, I'm sorry, but I can't really tell in this pile of items you have here what exactly is here, but you wouldn't happen to have something in terms of like a bracer or some shoes that might help with my archery?
I don't know what any of these do. I'm just telling them. But there's probably some shoes. And he like
Great.
sort of dives into the pile and then emerges with like a pair of nice boots. They have like this sort of fur collar around them. Got those?
And you have no idea what they do?
Nope.
How much are you asking for this said magic item that you have no clue what it does?
100 gold.
I think I'm going to take my small bag and see you later.
Alright. Have a good day. Come back soon. I'll make sure to bag them all up.
Okay, excellent. Maybe I'll come back later, alright?
Alright, Ratha, you follow Steve, and he sort of takes you near the docks where it seems like there's a lot of fishermen have their houses there. And he goes to one that is very small, very nondescript. And in front of it, at a pier, you see a guy just fishing, and he has this really big orange beautiful hat with some hooks and tackles stuck in it, and he sort of just waves at Steve and then goes back to fishing. And Steve says, that's our paladin, but he doesn't like to be disturbed when he's fishing. And he opens
that.
yeah, he opens the door, and you see like a little, just very basic one room basically building with a stove and a bed and a little hatch that sort of leads in a cellar. And Steve says, well, if they are not fishing, he should be down there, and points at the hatch.
See, shouldn't we speak with your paladin before opening up the hatch?
No, it should be fine.
Ah.
He really doesn't like to be disturbed. He probably just tied him up to make sure he doesn't run away.
See,
That's how they usually do it.
So long as it is actually alright for us to go down there to speak with him.
I don't see why not. You're not planning on letting him go, right?
No, I can't say that is on my immediate agenda.
Well, then it's all good.
Very well. Would you care to do the honors then?
Alright. And he goes over there. He just opens the hatch, and you see just a ladder leading down. And he doesn't bother with using the ladder. He just jumps down. And he actually casts light on just on a pebble that he found on the floor. And you can hear his voice coming up from down below, and he says, see, I knew it! They tied him up!
Well, I'll climb down the ladder.
Alright.
To the cellar.
At the same time, both, like one after the other, both Stolgig and Jannis, you do hear Steve in your mind. And he says, or rather, Jannis, you hear it. He says, Stolgig couldn't go, so I took the nice guy to see the cultist. I hope you don't mind.
Roger that, Steve. I'll be there shortly. Good job.
And yeah, you jump down there. You see a middle-aged human just sort of tied up in a corner. Like there's a bunch of old nets and boxes all around. It's mostly just a storage cellar. And he's tied up and gagged just in a corner, and he seems to be sleeping right now. There's not really much else to do for him right now.
Is he the only one in this cellar?
Yes! He's the only one in this cellar. You can't see any other tied up people. Or, any other people.
I will walk over to him, and I'll lift up his gag, like still tied to him, but just no longer covering his mouth.
Yeah. It wakes
like,
him up, and he looks up, and he looks up at you, and he says, "Who are you?"
Oh, I'm about to ask you that. Who are you?
I'm Odin, and listen, there's some mad people out there. They took me hostage. They chucked me in the cellar. You have to help me, please. Get me out of here.
I'm gonna insight check him.
Alright.
Just to sort of gauge, like, I mean, he probably is telling the truth about the being bad and such, but just sort of trying to more gauge his, like, trustworthiness and such.
Alright. Oh,
Sorry, I pressed
okay.
that twice by accident.
Yeah, it's fine. The first was a 19. He's definitely not here out of his own free will, but you feel like that it's not that he's terribly scared right now or anything. You feel more like he's trying to play you to
Yeah.
get him out of these binds.
Well, I've seen a number of prisoners in my lifetime, and some are innocent of the charges pressed them, and some not so innocent. The question remains, which are you?
Well, I didn't even know there were any charges pressed against me. Listen, we came back here, we came to town, we had a deal, they just suddenly were like, nope, you're not going anywhere, tied me up, threw me down here. Didn't even give me any food yet.
And what motivated them to tie you down here instead of honor this deal?
I don't know.
You must have some inkling.
Well, I really don't know. I helped them deal with stuff. We had an agreement that they would take me off the island. And they probably just... I don't know, maybe they're gonna try and sell me or something. Maybe they are slave traders.
What did you assist them with?
He like hesitates a bit and he says, well, they came out to an island where, well, I was held prisoner there at that time by some evil cultists, and they came there. I helped them deal with the cultists, and they took me out.
Yeah, I'm inciting that. Did that one actually go off this time?
Nope.
There we go.
Oh, nice. Damn.
You
doing well tonight.
You look him up and down, and you sort of, you look at his clothing, and it's not terrible, it's relatively nice, it's a bit tattered, but it's most certainly has like the runes that follower of Thurisdune would have, and it's most certainly just some cultist robes that he's wearing.
Yeah.
And also he is completely full of shit and just trying to sell you a nice sob story.
What? Can you tell me about this cult that had enslaved you?
Well, not a whole lot. I was mostly just kept in my room, I used to be a cleric there, and they just showed up one day, took over.
What god were you dedicated to as a cleric?
Prokan, the guardian deity of this area.
And do you know what these cultists were involved in? Was there a god that they were worshipping themselves, or a demon, or?
Not really, to be honest. They were rather scary. I tried to stay away from them.
It sounds as if you weren't so successful at staying away from them, now were you?
Well, like I said, I usually just was in my room.
I'm curious, though, and perhaps you can give me some insight into this. Was it customary for this cult to have their slaves wear their robes?
He like hesitates, and he thinks for a second. He says, my old clothes got torn, and that's all they had, so that's what they gave me.
Why did they care?
I don't know, maybe they didn't want to see me run around naked.
Why were you running around? Weren't you in your room, like captive?
I mean, yeah, but I still had to work for them, you know?
Seems an awful lot of effort. On their part, that is.
I mean, who knows what cultists do? They're all crazy, right?
Well, I think that depends on whom you ask. I mean, if you were to speak with one of them, they would certainly not see themselves as crazy. If anything, they would see the rest of us as mad for not aligning to what they're in the belief of.
I mean, I guess. Are you?
I mean, now here is a truly scary thought. What if it turns out they're the ones who are right and the rest of us are wrong? Now, what does that say about the rest of us? Maybe that means all of us are mad instead.
he like looks at you and he squints at you and he says, "Who are you? And how did you get down here?"
Spoke with Steve and he politely let me down.
Who are you?
Who are you?
I'm Odin. Are you one of? Are you one of them?
No, I've just arrived in town, actually. Well, yesterday I arrived in town.
No, I don't mean those idiots that are keeping me down. No, I mean of them. The followers.
I'm afraid I'm not precisely sure who them are, so I may end up disappointing you on that.
It doesn't... Forget it. Can you get me out of here?
I don't believe I have that authority.
Can you tell the guards that they are keeping me prisoned here against my will and get me out of here?
Potentially. But that will depend.
On what? Listen, if you want to make a deal, I can get you some money. I have some connections. I have some friends.
What are these connections?
Well, you know, before I got captured, I had some connections to the temple and stuff. They can
Which temple?
probably... What, the temple of Procon, right?
See, the problem is that I'm not convinced that you were a cleric of Procon.
Well, I mean, I'm not one of the cultists.
Let's lay our cards all on the table, shall we? You're not a cleric of Procon. You are a prisoner, granted, and perhaps unlawfully so, perhaps lawfully so. I'm actually not entirely familiar with the laws of this specific land as it pertains to holding captive questionable individuals.
Well, it's not legal. It's not on their authority. Only the guard is allowed to do that. Can't just
As I said,
keep people in dingy basements.
not want to act rashly, particularly as someone new to this land. I'm not inclined to jump ahead of the curve, so to speak. Now, as I said, I'm not entirely convinced that you're a cleric of Procon. So, who are you actually?
He rolls his eyes and he says, "Fine, yes, I am technically a follower of like those guys. But it's not like I care about their god or anything or their goals. All I needed was some access to some tomes for my research."
What tomes? What research?
Alright, listen. And he just instantly jumps into an extremely in-depth explanation of how he's trying to figure out how, or if it is possible to use just demon contract magic with cleric faith magic, basically. It's super in-depth. It may or may not go way over your heads depending on how much you had to deal with people that do a lot of research. I would assume you have some experience with people just going into tirade of big words.
Yep, not very familiar territory.
Yeah. And he just goes on and on and on about his favorite, his favorite subject, basically. And unless someone stops him, he's not gonna stop for a while.
Well, I appreciate you're certainly passionate about this. What are you attempting to achieve specifically? Like, is there a specific goal out of this? A specific aim?
Just scholarly curiosity, honestly, and, well... I mean... Fine. I mean, if Steve left you in, that means you're with those maniacs, and if they find out, then it's just gonna... They're just gonna... Listen, okay, I am sort of trying to figure out if it's possible to make a cleric ritual that will let you put restrictions on someone similar to a demonic pact. So basically,
As in a mortal?
No, not necessarily, but me being able to make a pact with someone just the way demons do it with mortals. So I could make a pact with someone and, then own them.
Ah. Huh.
But I'm not anywhere close to that, and since... Well, apparently since the tomes got burned up, basically it's back to square one.
So are you a native of SaltMarsh then, or?
I'm from around here, yeah. Originally from small village shithole.
And so this cult, is it one of many in this region, or?
He thinks for a moment and he says, I mean, there are always just, some idiots thinking that dancing around naked in the night is gonna summon Behemoth or something. Listen, so there's a bunch of weird people out there. So you could say there's a few cults, but I think there's only, 2 actual proper cults in this area from what I know.
What would they be?
Well, us.
Cult.
Well, those. Well, I mean, technically us, I guess. But the followers.
The ones dedicated to Tharus. How do you say it again? Sorry. Actually, how do you spell it for that matter?
I need to check how to bloody spell it.
I'm pretty sure it's THARIZDUN.
Did someone write it down? Because I did put it in chat at some point because it got annoyed of getting it wrong.
Yeah, no, I wrote it down. So it's THARIZDUN.
EUN?
Yeah.
Tarizan. Okay. I don't know how to pronounce that either, but it's helpful
Tarizun.
having the spelling.
Yeah. Can you just post it in chat again? That would make it easier.
Tarazun.
There's a D at the end there. Dun.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Dun.
Tarazun. Brilliant.
So there's us, and then from what I know, there's a group of guys up in the swamps doing whatever the fuck they are doing.
But you're not as familiar with them, presumably.
I didn't really have any dealings with them, no.
And the cult that you were part of, where are they predominantly located at this point?
I don't quite know. I mean, there was our group, but from what I understand, it's sort of a bunch of groups that don't exactly know where the others are and what they're doing to make it easy, to make it harder for guys like you guys to come in and mess stuff up.
Smart approach.
Well, fat good it did us when those assholes suddenly showed up on the island.
Well, can't always get it right, I suppose. And what would you say was the objective of this cult? I mean, it's one thing to worship a god, but what was the actual objective?
Well, bring Tharustin back. Bring him back into this world.
That's rather ambitious.
Well, from what I've gathered, they were they've had some success. Well,
How so?
preparing the ritual to get him back anyway. Well, from what I gather, they've gotten a suitable vessel, where to summon him into. And, well, they had thought they'd gotten 2 of the 3 pieces of the medallion needed, but that didn't quite work out now, did it?
And where would you say that... I mean, are you able to give me any locations as to where members of this cult may be located?
I don't know. I wasn't really involved with dealings with the outside of our little group. That was the boss's job. And, well, he's not there anymore.
Does he look like, if I gave him food, does he look like his hands are in a way that he could actually eat it, or are they sort of bound in a way that he wouldn't be able to get it into his mouth?
No, he could definitely just use them a bit.
Yep. Cool. Now, I am not in a position where I can release you, but at the very least I can offer you some food, and I'll take a ration out of my pack and I will hand that to him.
Great. Seriously, all you have to do... I mean, look, the little guy over there, he's not gonna do anything. Just unbind me. I'll be out of everyone's... I'll just be away. I'll leave. I won't come back.
I appreciate that, but I'm not in the position to freely do that at this stage.
He just looks incredibly frustrated with you. And he just takes the food and starts eating. And he just mumbles under his breath a few things you don't quite understand.
I'll probably wait. Like, does he look like he's gonna finish the whole ration in that one sitting, or?
No, he doesn't even look like he's that terribly hungry. Like, it's obvious that he hasn't been starved or anything. It's more likely that he just hasn't had breakfast yet.
Yeah, okay.
So he's just gonna eat a bit and then he's done.
Yeah, well, I'm terribly sorry, but I'm gonna have to put that gag back on. And I will... I will do exactly that and then clamber back up the stairs.
Alright. Yep. What is everyone else doing in the meantime?
Well, I was actually heading back to where Steve and Braithar were when Steve messaged me. So I'm assuming by now I'm probably
by now
there.
you're there. You see Suksta out on the pier fishing. And you enter and you basically see Braithar coming up the stairs.
Ah.
Or the ladder, rather.
I'm assuming you've met our friend down there, huh?
It's not exactly a friend, is he?
Well, no, but you know.
Is there a particular reason that you're keeping him in the cellar instead of having reported to the guards?
Well, I guess we've taken upon ourselves to actually take, it depends. What exactly